You're about to listen to a podcast full of wonder, excitement, and discovery. It's time for an adventure through Odyssey. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Adventures Through Odyssey podcast, Odyssey Revisited. I'm Will.
I'm John.
And I'm Gabe.
So this week we'll be taking a look at Album 42, No Way Out. So we're going to kick this right off with episode 533 and 536, Living in McGray, written by Marshall Younger, originally aired January 24th and January 31st, 2004. With Mitch and Connie going their separate ways, Connie unwinds in Washington by meeting up with an old friend, Jimmy Barkley. Connie soon uncovers that Jimmy may not be quite as successful as he would like people to believe. So I very clearly remember this episode being kind of cool to see Jimmy come back, but then they sort of throw him completely into the toilet.
Yeah, they don't really give him a chance.
I get the idea of, hey, sometimes people are lying about their success, and sometimes going away from God can cause that problem, but it did kind of feel overall a little too heavy, I guess.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what seems unrealistic about it, and I think just the whole situation of how much he lied.
I like this episode.
Yeah.
I like when people probably heard when Jimmy was coming back, they probably didn't think they would do this, and he was so close to God as a kid. You didn't think this could happen, but I mean, this situation does happen. I think it works how they played it off, and in doing probably the most well-known kid from Odyssey, it works to its advantage.
I would agree with that. It's nice to see George again. Felicia feels a little out of place, but Now, go ahead, Gabe.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to change the subject, so go ahead and say what you were going to say.
I think Felicia's pretty good. She maybe seems a little bit over the top that Jimmy would even go for her. But other than that...
That was my problem, too.
I think she's a good character.
Yes. And, again, it's a little disappointing they never brought Jimmy back to Odyssey in any full capacity. At some point, we're going to do, an episode about how they could have done the reboot that was Album 51 better, and one of mine would definitely be bring back the old kids to, be adults in Odyssey now.
Agreed.
So, Living in McGray, a decent episode, even if it does kind of feel like a pointless excuse to bring Jimmy back, although it's still a good excuse. Alright, moving on to Stubborn Streaks, episode 538, originally aired February 14th, 2004, written by Nathan Hubler. Can there be anything worse than telling Bernard Walton that his windows aren't clean? Why is he losing his customers? The answer may shock even Bernard himself. Okay, so... admittedly, the thing with Bernard in this episode is way better than Liz and Mandy's fight. That was never very well played out.
I feel like it's kind of a iffy episode overall. I mean, it has a good message. It's just okay, near the end.
I think overall, it was really solid. The plot, I think it was a little bit unrealistic, but Odyssey's not going to be totally realistic the whole time.
Yeah, and this is something we can talk to when we get more into what happened between Mandy and Liz, the boy who didn't like either one of them. Had he said he liked one of them, this fight would have made sense. But the fact that he kind of just walked away from both of them, this makes the whole thing feel incredibly stupid. Not even petty, just stupid. But, the thing with Bernard and Bart is much better just because you can see Bernard kind of getting stuck in that rut of maybe being a little less pleasant to his customers. So...
yeah, I could definitely see that.
oh, yeah. Yes, so again, another good episode, even if the B-plot isn't great. Alright, moving on to Called On in Class, episode 539, originally aired February 21st, 2004, written by Bob Hoose. Trent Dwight has to give an oral report in class, and the mayhem he imagines is earth-shattering.
I like this episode. It's over the top, yeah, but it knows it's over the top, and I think it kind of works out.
Yeah, it's a very great way to kind of demonstrate kids' fear about being called on in class, because some kids legitimately have that problem.
like, everything in it's over the top. Like, even him hiding in the bathroom. Like, a teacher's gonna realize, like, oh, you've been in there 20 minutes and I was about to call you for an oral report.
About this episode, Odyssey is really good at making episodes where they focus on one character, and it's kind of out of the more common realm of Odyssey. He's just in a classroom, and it's all narrated through one character.
Yeah, like this, Snow Day, that's the only other one I can think of at the moment, but...
Yeah. There's a few more, but I think they were usually good episodes.
Oh, absolutely. And this one's definitely nice because it takes kind of a more mundane situation and over-exaggerates it through the eyes of a kid. All right, it's a nice different Odyssey that doesn't have to end with a big, impactful Bible lesson. So, it's just, this stuff happens. All right, moving on to The Girl in the Sink, episode 540, written by Bob Hoose, aired February 28th, 2004. When Tamika wonders if angels still help people, Bernard Walton tells her a story about Bernard. Was anyone else reminded of a Green Mile when listening to this episode?
I'm sure. I know what the Green Mile is. I'm sure Gabe hasn't seen the Green Mile.
I don't know what that is.
It's a movie about a prison, and this black dude comes in, and suddenly everything starts changing because of his, like, supernatural abilities. So, okay, obviously this is a way different plot, but I feel like it's sort of similar to that in a few ways.
Okay, well, okay.
Oh.
Here's Will's...
I'm on the wiki.
Movie reference.
I am on the wiki. This episode contains references to the Green Mile. Large African-American man involved in the almost death of a young girl, saves main character, brings small black bird to life, antagonist named Percy. Oh!
Well, okay.
No, he just made that up. That's
No,
not true.
everyone go on the wiki. I'm going to put it in the show notes, and you can see this is there.
Okay.
You must have seen that earlier.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so this episode's okay. Like, it's entertaining. It's a little too weird.
Yeah, it's a little... I mean, now it makes sense that it's based off of something else, but I see your point.
Yeah.
I mean, this could have been like an Imagination Station episode where we see other times people have claimed angels have helped them. Or, maybe more than one person could have told told a story. Maybe it's more of an anthology.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the episodes... Some of the episodes I go back and listen to, if I don't remember them, this is one I went back and listened to, and despite being one part, it feels a little sluggish.
That's true.
Right. And the fact that he's named Ezekiel is kind of a giveaway right there. But I guess that's all we've got to say. The poor man's Malachi's message. And Bernard still remembers it. He didn't forget it.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
All right, moving on to Bernard and Saul, episode 541, written by Nathan Hubler and aired March 6, 2004. After losing his class election to Ashley Jenkins, Trent pays a visit to Wits End, where Bernard sheds some light on the situation by telling Trent the story of King Saul and his jealousy towards David.
Remember when Bernard used to be a main character? Or a character at all?
Yes, he got 2 story episodes back to back. Those were the days.
And he also had... The first episode was him.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Living in McGray? No,
the second one, whatever it was, him.
Oh, the window washing. Yeah, you kind of call this Bernard the album.
Well, no, he used to be a main character, and he would show up at least twice an album. Now he's not in it at all. This is good. I mean, good telling of Saul. Odyssey never really did that much with Saul, I feel like, so...
Well, he did that episode where Isaac needed a friend, and he gets into the Imagination Station, but somebody else is already in there, and he meets him.
That was... They never showed that one. Wasn't that a band? Like, an episode they just never aired?
No, they aired it. I've got it. I have the CD.
Yeah, but why is it in the lost episodes?
It is not.
Isn't it called Isaac the True Friend?
Yeah.
Look it up. I'm pretty sure it's in the lost episodes. But besides that, it's good. I mean, it's a Bible episode that works.
Okay, yeah, it's in the Lost episodes.
Yeah, I think it's good. Bernard's actually a really good anchor for episodes and storytelling. Yeah. I wish she was still here.
Oh, yeah. They don't give a reason why, but okay. Right.
He probably fell into the TARDIS or something.
Bernard. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a character I'd bring back, but didn't the voice actor die?
Probably.
Did he?
He probably did.
I thought that was Tom.
Tom definitely died right before they went on hiatus.
Yeah. And I understand that.
Yeah, he died.
Okay.
Yeah, but Whit died too.
Well,
he regenerated.
Yeah.
They just got lucky the first time because they found someone who sounded exactly like Hal Smith.
And then we're like, we're not gonna try this time.
If Focus ever hears this, they're gonna come at us with pitchforks of how much we bash the new Whit.
Yeah.
I don't even care if he sounds different. They just don't write for him well.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like he could sound whatever way he wanted to. I wouldn't care if he was as well written as he used to be.
Yeah, I would agree. If he didn't just feel like he comes out of the back room to deliver a lesson and walks back in there and finishes fixing the imagination station, would be a little better. But now back to the episode we were talking about. I do think it's good. Again, I prefer the one-part Bible episodes because otherwise they start padding them out.
Unless they're like a really long story.
Right, and Saul's got a lot to talk about. When you're just focusing on Saul and David, that can be one episode.
Well, it wasn't all about Saul and David. It was supposed to be Saul.
Well,
and being king and stuff. There's a lot of intricacies, but you can tell that story in about 22 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell most stories in 22 minutes if you ask me, but...
Yeah, there's definitely a place for two-parters, but most Bible should be one-parter.
Yeah. Namely because it's not that I don't like the Bible episodes, but I feel like Focus would actually do better to make just a Bible-centric audio series. Like Bible stories. Maybe do like a big audio drama of the Bible. Someone write that down. I'm going to send that to Focus. Alright. Now moving on to Eggshells, episode 542, written by Marshall Younger and aired April 24th in 2004. When Connie comes back from Washington, D.C. after being so close to marrying Mitch, she's the only one who isn't heartbroken.
Okay, well, the thing with this episode is, when I was younger, I did not get the episode. I feel like being older, you get the episode better and what it's trying to go for, and I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, when you're a kid, you don't get, like, why are they doing this? Or you think Connie's actually upset, but, you know, when you're older and you have experiences where everyone thinks you're upset when you're really not, it kind of...
Right.
I thought this was a really good combination of characters, of main characters, with whatever his name is and the other kid.
Right.
And Connie and Whit.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea, but just it being Jared and Trent, you'd think a few more kids would help. This is also notable for being the last appearance of June Kendall.
Wow, I didn't notice that.
Well, it is the last appearance of June Kendall before the tragedy strikes kind of out of nowhere. Which is supposed to be the point, I know, but... Yeah, but one other thing I'll say is, out of all of the episodes of the show, this is the one I would kind of put into my top 10 of, if you haven't heard the background building up to this episode, you are going to be just a little bit lost.
Yeah. Well, you can kind of catch on, but I get what you mean.
Right, I mean, like, if it's part of an arc, okay, you're going to be lost, but this is kind of smack dab in the middle of an album that has nothing else really going on.
Yeah.
But, right, I liked the whole thing with Connie and Joanne going out to D.C., but then the fact that it took Connie so long to come back was a little odd to me. But yeah, a really good episode about the stages of grief, and it still is one of my favorite Odyssey quotes. I don't want to say anything to the papier-mâché Mitch.
I also just want to say I think Trent and Jared are one of the more funnier character combinations.
Well, they are siblings. Yeah, I like older Jared better than younger Jared.
Yeah.
Just because, namely, older Jared is still a conspirator, but he also feels just a little less crazy. So, alright. Now moving on to a favorite of mine out of this album, Nothing But the Half-Truth, originally aired May 1st, 2004, episode 543, written by Marshall Younger and Tori Martin. Wellington Bassett calls Wooten for a favor. He's supposed to meet a business client. There's only one problem. Wooten isn't allowed to say anything. Meanwhile, Marvin Washington is on restriction, left behind with Wit. But when the opportunity to break restriction presents itself, Marvin can't quite resist the temptation.
Okay, this might be one of the best Wooten episodes.
Yes. Before they kind of turned him into a parody of himself.
Yeah, is this the first appearance of Wellington?
It might. I think so. If it not, yeah, I think it is. Or did Bernard? Yeah, it had to have been. Bernard wouldn't go to Alaska later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is the first appearance of Wellington. And the one thing I always found kind of interesting about this episode, and any episode where an Odyssey character is grounded and they call it restriction, why do they do that?
Does Focus on the Family have something against grounding or something?
I don't know. Maybe they just think it sounds more pleasant. I just don't quite get that. It's not the 50s anymore, and the show's never been set in the 50s, so not that it's like a bad thing. I just always wondered about that. But yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Everyone finally does come clean at the end. And, a half-truth is still a lie, so...
Yep.
Does anyone have anything else to add?
You like ponchos?
And then, of course, Mr. Whittaker's whites turned pink. If it's any consolation, I'm sorry they're pink, too.
What a wit.
Okay, if this was the new Wit voice, that would just be Creeper.
That's true. I wouldn't leave my kids with the new Wit.
No. Oh man, Focus on the Family is really going to get mad for this.
I'm sure they're not listening. Next week on the Official Adventures in Odyssey podcast, they say something about us.
So we got shut down.
Well, everyone, we're going to move on to a different Christian show. We're going from Odyssey to VeggieTales.
Oh, please, no.
Oh, come on, it wouldn't be that bad. But yeah, sticking with Odyssey.
You want to talk about new VeggieTales?
You mean the Netflix show?
Well, that too. And the episode where they reference Grand Theft Auto.
What?
Are you still...
They had a joke where they said Grand Theft Gelato.
I clearly need to start watching those Netflix episodes.
No, it's not a Netflix episode. It's like the superhero episode.
So now we know what the writers do in their free time.
Yeah. Oh, should we put in a reference to a video game that has prostitutes and that kind of stuff? Sure, the kids ain't gonna get it.
Okay, guys, let's get this model train back on the track. Alright, next episode, Split Ends, episode 544, written by Kathy Buchanan and Marshall Younger, and originally aired May 8th, 2004. Liz Horton and Jared DeWake get stopped in the mall by two scouts, Ollie and Genevieve, from the Empirical Modeling Agency. They want Liz to be a model. Alright, we all remember one thing from this episode, don't we?
Don't say it yet.
Okay. So, I mean, it's a pretty good episode about mall scamming talent agents.
I actually thought this was a really funny episode.
Oh, yeah. I wish there had been some joke like the hair gel caused people's hair to fall out or something, but...
Yeah.
I will say, a little bit of an anticlimactic makeup from it, too, only because they had strung it out a little too long.
Yeah.
And why
I can see that.
I mean, they could have gotten locked in the imagination station together and had to make up in the middle of a battlefield.
I mean, I get it. It's supposed to, I mean, like, how they get up's almost an accident, and it's something kind of stupid. I guess they're saying that's almost how it happens, or they're supposed to be referencing, you know, the reason they stopped talking to each other was stupid, so...
Well, yeah. Wouldn't it have been interesting, though, if they never became friends again, and just to, like, really demonstrate the point?
I do understand that. The problem is they would have to have an episode that showed they never became friends again.
Just...
Like, to make that point come across, they couldn't just have them, like, not show up again with each other, because that would have been, like, weird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess...
Because, like, you could have just assumed they dropped it, or they became friends again.
Or they could have epilogued or, like, maybe 2 years later talked about it again. It was kind of like when Mandy's parents got a divorce and then they got back together. I always thought, okay, that's happy, but that's not exactly how it always happens.
Well, let's talk about that later.
Well,
I have something to say about that, but I don't want to talk about that many later episodes. So let's just keep focused.
Now, does anyone have any memorable quotes from the episode?
Because I care to love my hair.
I wonder how long it took them to come up with that.
Oh, wait.
I don't know. It's pretty creative.
Yeah, probably longer than I care. But yeah, good episode. This is actually Jared's last episode as a regular character.
And so ends the best period of characters in Odyssey.
Yeah, I don't quite know what that means. That he could have just shown up and was more listed as a guest, because, you know, they don't do credit. They don't credit in a traditional way at the end, so...
Wasn't he in, like, the 50th album?
Right, but that's it. I thought he had a few more appearances after this one. That wasn't just the 50th.
He probably just had, like, a few small ones. They're probably saying as, like, a main character in the story.
Right.
Or something like that.
Split Ends, one of the better episodes of the album. Alright, moving on to Something's Gotta Change, episode 545, written by Bob Hoose, originally aired May 15th, 2004. Marvin and Tamika try to find out the odd changes that are going on in their family since their dad took his new job.
Best family in Odyssey ever.
Yes, the Washingtons. The Black Barclays.
The Adventures Through Odyssey podcast does not support the views or beliefs of Will Ward.
Okay, so, again, this episode feels pointless because Wits End Connellsville was dropped pretty quickly. Ed definitely brought something new to Wits End Connellsville that I would like to have seen more of. Although I hope he didn't bankrupt Mr. Whitaker with that reverse carnival.
Obviously he didn't, because Mr. Whitaker regenerated, so...
And Mr. Whitaker has all that dictionary money we never talk about.
Yeah, he's rich. He's so rich.
Yeah, so everyone can get a quarter to make him, and heck, everyone can get 20 quarters. But yeah, good episode, not much to say, and now they're next door to Bart Rathbone, which doesn't make much sense.
No, they set up for the best episode ever, Sunday Morning Scramble.
Yeah, but you'd think Bart would live in a poorer neighborhood than the Washingtons, where this house of, like, this really prolific worker in Odyssey.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, and this is also the last appearance of Xavier, the cousin who stayed with the Washingtons for a long amount of time and they just kind of dropped without having a proper goodbye to.
And they only mentioned, it was like at the beginning of Sunday Morning Scramble, they're like, can we talk to Xavier?
Well, they sort of mention in the next episode that he left. They just don't do a good job of making sure you know that.
Maybe they had a falling out with the voice actor.
Well, that could be true. I didn't think of that. Alright. Well, speaking of the next episode where Xavier's gone, No Way Out and No Way In. Episodes 546 and 547, originally aired May 22nd, 2004, written by John Fornoff. Whit hasn't come home, which worries Jason, while Marvin and Tamika Washington try to find out why things keep disappearing from their new house. Intriguing mystery. I question why the Washingtons didn't know someone else was in their house.
Yeah, I mean, I get, like, oh, it's supposed to be a big creepy house and all that, but I mean, you can I feel like you would find out, like, you know.
Yeah, if you have a kid like Marvin, I would imagine he would be exploring everywhere in a new house.
That would be true, but it was a secret passage under a rug, so where all
Under a rug.
where all secret passages are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're introduced to the character of Lester, you know, the character who, like, showed up 2 more times after this.
Which, he has a little bit of the Wooten syndrome.
In what way? Because I've got a thought about Lester, but I want to hear yours.
Well, you know when he has the invisible dog?
Yeah.
It's like he's... What did you say earlier about Wooten?
A parody of himself?
Yes.
Well, that's only his 3rd appearance.
Okay.
But I see what you mean. I think one thing they were going for with him was a more... How do I say this politically correct? A mentally challenged character?
Which I think they could have done a better way without kids laughing.
Were kids supposed to laugh at him, though?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well,
I don't know.
I agree that there was more they could have done with him. Maybe the writers were just worried about offending somebody, or they couldn't figure out what to do at a point. Because they never completely say what's wrong with Lester, but we can tell there's something wrong.
Right.
Yeah, like there's not really any backstory on him.
Yeah.
I think he was probably just an experiment.
Right, and it's not bad. Well, they say something about his his mom at one point. And then, of course, we've got the whole mystery about the McAllisters, kind of that random name that shows up when they need to make Odyssey seem old.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I feel like he could have... He was one of those characters I thought, oh, this will be such a great idea for a character like Zachary. Like, I feel like he was one of those characters they thought, oh, we can do all these great things with, but then once they introduced him and they started writing episodes for them, they realized that they couldn't really do as great of stories as they had hoped.
Right, it's like buying that great as seen on TV product. You think you have a use for it, but then you kind of find out you maybe don't.
A little bit
That's
of
a
Jules.
Horrible analogy, Will, but keep going.
Alright, I will say one of the better parts of this episode is Jason and Connie trying to figure out where Whit is based off his voicemail.
Could Jason and Connie just get married?
Yeah. What I was going to say is it's not bogged down with, like, obvious extra clues, and them discovering things happens at a believable pace. It's not they stand around for half the episode, then just suddenly the thing that's been in front of the audience the whole time comes to light.
Yeah. Even though... Was it raining? When Mr. Whitaker...
I think it was storming. A storm was about to begin or something.
So why would he get out of his car, like, and run and try to stop someone when he could just go call the cops first and then go to the house?
I think he was supposed to meet with the Washingtons or something, as I recall.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got Marvin searching for the Cheese Doodle Bandit, which, as we learn later, contains a big continuity flaw. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
What?
When Tamika says Mom hates cheese doodles, but later she buys the big bag.
Oh, yeah. The big salad.
Maybe she's just saying that because she knows everyone eats it. But she does say it like, the big bag.
Yeah, just a little too excitedly to not want some of it. And then, of course, we've got the ending payoff where just kind of a dude who I think they introduced pretty late into the proceedings shows up.
Does he, like, give the parents sleeping pills or something?
Yeah, he, like, drugs their water or something.
That was a little interesting.
Yeah, that was starting to get into, okay, maybe
like,
we're...
Where did he get those?
Oh, he was the plumber, so he was able to put it in their water, you know, because they were tasting it to make sure it came out okay.
Yeah.
But you can get sleeping pills pretty readily.
But like that strong?
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Now, do we want to talk about the day Ambrosia stood still?
What?
So at the end of the episode, when Whit says Jason couldn't come because he had to take a last-minute trip to New Mexico, this leads into a Last Chance Detective episode with Jason. We want to briefly discuss that.
No, because I've never seen it.
Well, you're right.
Wait,
All right.
it actually does?
Yeah. So kind of an Odyssey.
Huh.
So I guess Odyssey and Last Chance Detectives exist in the same universe.
Wow, that doesn't even make sense.
I know. All right, so final
So
thoughts.
Emily Parker is like totally intruding on their space.
That's true. That should be a crossover episode. Emily Parker meets the
Oh,
Last
man.
Chance Detectives.
Oh man, I'm pretty sure that thing's over.
Well, I'm sure it is too. The audio show still might be going on.
Okay, maybe.
All right, so overall thoughts on the album.
3.819.
318.99. Nice try, Gabe. All right, but really, final thoughts.
I actually think this is a really good album.
Yeah, a lot of strong episodes, and a lot of strong episodes about our stories being told by people, which are always a crapshoot.
Yeah, both two-parters are really good.
Absolutely. The two-parters are good, the Bible episodes are good, and I think there's some good comedy in this one.
Yeah, definitely. There's not really a
There's
bad
not a-
episode.
Yeah, there's definitely not one that's awful.
Yeah.
And this is again kind of during that third really good wave Odyssey had, kind of from, I'd say from the time Mitch ditches Kanye at the altar to the time I go on hiatus.
Yeah, personally, this is like my favorite era, at least with the kids and Whit and everyone.
Yeah, because as much as I like the early day kids, they were very more blank slate characters. These kids, each one has a very distinct personality.
Yeah, I think they were really funny, and I think they were more relatable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
John?
What?
Oh, never mind. So, yeah, I'm going to give this an 8.
I'll give it an 8.1.
I was gonna say 8.2. So
Oh, ha ha ha.
seriously
All right.
was, but
All right, time for everybody's favorite part of the show, trivia. And because no one has stepped up to the plate and written a new trivia question, I am stuck doing it again. All right, so our trivia question today is, in the episode Treasure of Le Monde, what do they have to play on the organ to get the secret compartment to open?
I have no idea. I'm just gonna take a wild guess. Is it Amazing Grace?
No.
wait a
Okay.
minute. E minor, C. But no, because she realizes they have to play something on the.
Right, what is it?
Yeah,
What's
but
it called?
what they play, I think, is just a random tune.
Yes, but it's a word.
Was it like a
Treasure.
scale?
No.
Here, what is it?
A deaf cabbage.
Oh, but that's not the name of whatever.
Well, I said, what do we have to play to get it to open? I thought that was a pretty simple question. Okay, so anyway, before we completely sign off here, I would like to say we are encroaching on our 10th episode in like 3-4 weeks. And one thing we thought would be kind of fun is to have discussion topics for every 10 episodes or so. So I'm just curious how many people are listening to the show at this point. So if you would like to leave topic suggestions in the YouTube comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or on the SoundCloud if you're watching this on SoundCloud, or at anadventuresthrughodyssey@gmail.com if you want to be 100% sure I'm able to actually see it. If you're
Or
listening
iTunes?
Well, yeah, or on the iTunes. Well, I'd prefer you guys to leave reviews on iTunes and not discussion topics.
Okay.
But so either SoundCloud comments for this episode specifically, the YouTube comments for this video specifically, or anadventuresthrughodyssey@gmail.com. Send us any discussion topic. We are not going to discuss anything inappropriate. Like, if you want to talk about it around the target demographic of this show, we're not going to talk about it. So,
So
all
like
right.
Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, discussion topics around Odyssey, I want to make that clear. So, And also, we are on Tumblr at the moment at an adventure through Odyssey, and I'm going to try to make an Instagram later this week. Okay, so we are signing off. Join us next week when we'll be talking about Album 4, Fun, Dementals. I'm Will.
I'm John.
And I'm Gabe.
We'll see you next week.